Imagine bringing home a bird that can learn your voice, recognize your routine, mimic the sounds around your house, and sometimes act more like a tiny roommate than a pet. That bird is the Quaker parrot. They're small. They're incredibly intelligent. They can be funny, affectionate, stubborn, noisy, and surprisingly demanding. But here's the part many people discover too late. A Quaker parrot isn't just a beautiful bird that sits in a cage. It has a personality. It has opinions. It needs attention. And if you don't understand its psychology, this clever little bird can become one of the most challenging pets you've ever owned. So, what is it really like to live with a Quaker parrot? And is this bird actually right for you? Welcome to Wild Physiology, where we explore the fascinating intelligence, behavior, and hidden psychology of animals. Let's get into it. Introduction. Meet the Quaker parrot. The Quaker parrot, also known as the monk parakeet, is a small green parrot originally native to parts of South America. It's usually recognized by its bright green body, grayish face and chest, and long tail. But don't let its small size fool you. Inside that little body is a remarkably active brain. Quaker parrots are social animals. In the wild, they live around other birds, communicate constantly, and work together around their nesting colonies. That social nature doesn't disappear when they enter a human home. Instead, something interesting happens. You become part of their flock. And that's one of the most important things to understand about owning one. Your Quaker isn't simply looking at you as its owner. It may see you as a member of its social world. And that can be wonderful. But it can also create problems if you aren't prepared. Chapter 1. Why Quaker parrots are so intelligent. One of the biggest reasons people fall in love with Quaker parrots is their intelligence. They are excellent observers. They watch what you're doing, call for you when you leave, and demand attention when you're busy. At first, this can feel incredibly cute. And honestly, it often is. But there's another side. If a bird becomes overly dependent on one person, it can become territorial or jealous. You might notice your bird acting differently when another person approaches. It may scream, bite, or try to control who gets close to its favorite human. This doesn't mean the bird is bad. It's usually a combination of social behavior, learned habits, hormones, fear, and environment. That's why early socialization is so important. A Quaker should ideally learn that different people, sounds, objects, and situations aren't automatically threats. The goal isn't to force the bird to love everyone. The goal is to teach it. The world is safe. Chapter 3. They can be loud. Now let's talk about something that surprises many first-time owners. Quaker parrots can be noisy. Not occasionally noisy. Sometimes. Very noisy. Parrots naturally use vocalizations to communicate with their flock. In your home, that flock may be you. So if you walk into another room and your Quaker starts calling, it may simply be asking, "Where did you go?" If you respond every single time by immediately running back, the bird can learn something very quickly. Screaming gets attention. And now you've accidentally trained the behavior. That's why understanding reinforcement matters. Reward calm behavior. Give attention when the bird is quiet and behaving appropriately. Provide toys and activities. And avoid turning screaming into a reliable way of getting your attention. You can't expect a parrot to be silent, but you can teach it better habits. Chapter 4. The famous Quaker personality. If you ask Quaker owners what makes these birds special, one answer comes up again and again. Personality. These birds can be incredibly expressive. One minute they're calmly sitting on their perch. The next minute they're climbing upside down like a tiny acrobat. They may throw toys around, investigate everything, chew objects, and find creative ways to get your attention. They can also be stubborn, and that's actually part of what makes them fascinating. You aren't dealing with an animal that simply follows instructions. You're interacting with an animal that can learn, make associations, and develop preferences. Your Quaker might love one toy and completely ignore another. It might prefer one person. It might develop favorite foods. It might even have its own daily routine. In other words, you're not buying a decorative bird. You're bringing home a personality. Chapter 5. The cage is not their whole world. One of the biggest mistakes people can make with parrots is thinking, if the cage is big enough, everything is fine. Not necessarily. A cage is a safe home base. But Quaker parrots need opportunities to move, explore, climb, chew, and interact. They need appropriate toys that encourage natural behaviors. They need perches with suitable variety. They need regular social interaction. And when it's safe and practical, Supervised time outside the cage can provide valuable exercise and enrichment. Think of it this way. A Quaker parrot's body is built for movement. Its beak is built for manipulation, and its brain is built for learning. If you only satisfy one of those needs, you're missing the bigger picture. Chapter 6. Food and Daily Care. A healthy Quaker parrot needs more than a bowl of seeds. A balanced diet is important, and the exact nutritional plan should be discussed with an avian veterinarian because individual needs can vary. Pellets formulated for parrots can form an important part of the diet, alongside appropriate fresh foods. Fresh vegetables can provide variety and nutrients. Some fruits can also be offered in appropriate portions. And of course, clean drinking water should always be available. But food isn't the only part of daily care. You also need to think about sleep, cleanliness, exercise, enrichment, social interaction, and regular veterinary care. Parrots are also remarkably good at hiding signs of illness. That means changes in appetite, droppings, activity, breathing, or behavior shouldn't simply be ignored. When you're responsible for a parrot, small changes can matter. Chapter 7. The big question. Are Quakers good pets? So, are Quaker parrots good pets? The answer is, for the right person, absolutely. They can be affectionate, intelligent, entertaining, trainable, and incredibly rewarding companions. But they're not ideal for everyone. If you want a pet that requires very little attention, a Quaker may not be the right choice. If you can't tolerate noise, think carefully. If you're away from home most of the day and can't provide appropriate enrichment and social interaction, you need to consider whether the bird's needs can realistically be met. And if you're expecting a quiet decoration that simply looks pretty in a cage, this is definitely the wrong animal. A Quaker parrot is a commitment. You're potentially sharing your home with this intelligent creature for many years. So the decision shouldn't be, do I want this bird? The better question is, can I give this bird the life it needs? That's the question every future parrot owner should ask. Chapter 8. The hidden beauty of living with a Quaker. But when the relationship works, something incredible happens. You begin to understand each other. You recognize your bird's different calls. You learn when it wants attention. You learn when it wants space. Your bird learns your routines. It recognizes your voice. It anticipates familiar events. And slowly, a strange little green bird becomes part of your everyday life. That's what makes parrots so fascinating. They're not simply animals we keep. They're animals we communicate with. And the more you understand their behavior, the more rewarding that relationship becomes. Quaker parrots may be small, but their personalities are anything but small. They're intelligent, social, curious, vocal, sometimes stubborn, sometimes hilarious, and sometimes surprisingly affectionate. But their intelligence comes with responsibility. A Quaker needs more than food and a cage. It needs stimulation, social interaction, exercise, training, a safe environment, and an owner willing to understand its behavior instead of simply reacting to it. Because the secret to living with a Quaker isn't controlling the bird. It's learning how the bird thinks. And once you understand that, you may realize you're not just keeping a parrot. You're building a relationship with one of nature's most fascinating little minds. If you enjoyed discovering the hidden psychology and behavior of Quaker parrots, subscribe to Wild Physiology. And don't just click away yet. Tell me in the comments. Would you ever keep a Quaker parrot as a pet? And what would you name it? And if you want to discover more about the intelligence, behavior, and secret lives of birds, stay with Wild Physiology, because the next animal we explore might be even smarter than you think. Subscribe, and let's discover the wild mind behind the feathers.